Thank you and good afternoon. I want to talk to you about Industry 4.0 not only having a business case, but also a strong sustainability case going forward. Let me just quickly introduce ABB. This is the company that we are. We are in the physical world and we are in the digital world with electrical automation and digitalization, operating in more than 100 countries and for more than 125 years. And as an engineer, I find it super exciting to be working in this particular period of time where there's two revolutions going on, the energy revolution and the fourth industrial revolution, which really is changing all aspects of how we power, produce, work, live, and actually also move. And both these revolutions, at the heart of it, are powered by automation, by digitalization, which is very much the theme of this conference. I would like to tie sustainability into this topic because if you look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, they have a strong impact on many of the things we do in terms of creating a more sustainable society through technologies, and creating that sustainable society by itself drives the three megatrends that you can see on here, basically urbanization, decarbonization, digitalization, which I think are particularly relevant also here for Singapore and for South Asia. If you take the decarbonization megatrend as an example, there's a project we're currently executing in Australia, and it's the first hydrogen liquefaction and export terminal where basically clean hydrogen produced in Australia is prepared for export to Japan. That's something where we do the complete electrical automation, instrumentation that enables the dealing with hydrogen at this stage. But this is also equally true if you think urbanization, if you think the criticality of water supply. In this particular example, how digitalization helps the water supply in Ho Chi Minh City. The system here, one of the things it does is it actually helps not only detect that there's a leakage, but helps deploy the maintenance crew to the most likely source of the leakage, and that saves to the tune of 50 million meters cubed, or if you want to translate that in money terms, $10 million per year. But this is not only something we do elsewhere, but I would also like to use this video quickly to give you an impression of something we've recently delivered here
Innovation
in Singapore.
is part of Singapore's culture in our water story. We're a very small island city-state with a land area of only 700 square kilometers. So there is just not enough land to capture all that water, although we get a lot of rain. So we have to think of new innovative ways. We have to leverage on smart technologies, digital technologies to help us.
The water reclamation process is not new to us. What is new is the challenges that we are facing as a nation. We need to reduce the energy consumption to provide more water to our nation, and we need to abide by stricter standards in terms of water discharge. We have to overcome these challenges to achieve our mission in providing every Singaporean with clean water. As part of the drive for transformation and digitalization, one of the partners that came to mind was ABB.
ABB provided an integrated solutions with Gen 2 smart sensors and integrated dashboards as well as AR glasses. With ABB ability, I'm able to do predictive maintenance. If I know where is the early warning signs, where is the equipment failure going to happen, I could solve it at a lower cost compared to an entire equipment failure, which will be very expensive.
My specific role is to provide solutions. That's where we are able to make use of the technology and connectivity. Using such a small little sensors, the customers is able to understand the health of the equipment they have in the plant. Now when we have such a digital solutions, you have a sensors that's installed within 5 minutes, and once it's connected to the cloud, basically collects data every 1 hour. The customer is able to understand the conditions of the motors they have in the plant.
I think moving forward, as we embrace digital technologies, we are actually piloting one of the state-of-the-art technologies in this area. And it helps in terms of attracting younger generation who are bursting with ideas.
The Microsoft HoloLens AR glasses provides a step-by-step guide on how to maintain the equipment and to train them. After trying the equipment, they retain the knowledge better than me explaining it verbally to them.
We have actually demonstrated solutions to not just our internal staff, our operators using, but also we have brought external visitors to come and visit the plant. They're all very impressed. ABB is an important partner in PUB's digital transformation journey. We are ensuring a sustainable water supply for Singapore now and into the future.
And if we reflect on that, I think it came across quite clearly in the two water examples and the decarbonization example that there is a sustainability case also. If we continue on the technology vector that's going, then basically reflecting on a history of more than 125 years, you can see that automation started isolated, very local in pockets, and over time people have connected the different parts of operations. What we're seeing as a recent but very powerful trend is what we call collaborative operations, where we actually connect the assets of our customers with the operation centers of our customers, but also an ABB Collaborative Operations Center. We actually have one here in Singapore also, supporting key industries with expertise in a combination of algorithms as well as people. So it's connecting the systems as well as the people on both sides for providing expertise and for joint problem solving. Maybe to drop a few data points, we already have more than 1,000 marine vessels under contract with our collaborative operations centers. We have more than 1,000 industrial facilities also that use these services. So it's a strong and strongly growing piece, which also for us takes the additional function that it is actually making digitalization far more presentable, because you actually see what people and what algorithms are doing beyond a PowerPoint presentation. So it's definitely something that I think is playing a very important role beyond the business that it generates. And then on the timeline, I think where we're moving to is towards increasingly autonomous operations. And that's, of course, a bold claim, but I'll substantiate that in a moment. If we look first in terms of what does digitalization, what has automation been doing, I think we can distinguish two phases of any major industrial customer plant. On the one hand side, there's a capital investment phase where digitalization needs to deliver benefits in terms of the cost, schedule, and risk profile of your project. And then a different crew typically takes over, driving the operations in terms of continuous improvement, quality assurance, at which point the safety, productivity, and energy efficiency of the asset are really center stage. And the way you do that, and I guess I would say that as a trained control engineer, you close the loop, and you basically close the loop from sensing, so physical, to digital translation. That's what sensors do. Then you run algorithms, you control, and then you act. So you act back on the process, and you do that at increasingly wider levels. That's what control is all about. But in addition, and I think that's where a lot of the activity with digitalization is in these days, is on the right-hand side, the asset loop, where you actually sense the physical state of an asset, like in the water example we saw, the state of the electrical motor or the pump, and the vital signs indicating that probably within the next 2-3 weeks, this piece of equipment is going to fail unless you maintain it, but you still have a time window to do that. And then asset analytics, deploying service, and again, at higher and higher levels. What we call extended automation at ABB is basically tying those two loops together, the operations loop on the one hand side and the asset loop on the other side. Now, continuing with loops, I talked about sense, analyze, and act as kind of the fundamental control loop. With the move towards more autonomous, basically we need to close loops beyond that, which are far more complex loops in terms of perceiving, understanding, and actually solving problems as they occur. So lifting control to yet another level is what digitalization, what Industry 4.0 is all about. If that's a little abstract, let me assure you, I don't think this is going to happen overnight or anytime by the flip of a switch. I think also the automotive industry, where you saw some bold claims in what year everybody would have completely autonomous cars, they've basically learned and developed a model that has inspired what I'm showing you here. So not thinking towards autonomous in terms of going from no autonomy to full autonomy, but actually if you look also at some of our everyday appliances, some of the car functions you can have these days, basically taking it in stages and determining for a specific application what is the level of autonomy that has a productivity benefit for what I am operating. And you can see them here. I don't have the time to go into too much detail here, but suffice to say that more is not necessarily better, but typically a bit more has a productivity benefit, and understanding the domain, having the technology allows you to secure that benefit. I think it's obvious that if you look at, say, offshore oil and gas production, where you have a lot of people out on platforms and you get weather situations where you need to shut down the platform, evacuate the people and so on. In colder parts of the world you also get icebergs. I know that's not a threat potentially in South Asia. But with manned platforms you have people in a fairly hostile environment, and of course there's a strong trend in the direction of unmanning. If you think that further, putting the oil and gas production equipment on the seabed, and we've now for a number of years with some international oil company partners and sponsors of this program, we've developed technology to put actually the electrical and automation directly on the seabed, so without a topside, up to 600 kilometers from shore, providing a lot of power at 3,000 meter water depths. If you think, what's the need for more autonomous? You really want to have more autonomous function down there, because it has to be unmanned and it has to operate for sustained periods of time, because simply the cost of lifting this kit for maintenance would be prohibitive. We're also very proud to just yesterday having announced a partnership in the space of more autonomous, and that is a partnership with Capital Offshore and Marine, where we've together committed by the end of 2020 to have an autonomous tug, South Asia's first autonomous tug in operation, that will not completely replace the role of people, but will allow crews to actually focus on the essential tasks of operating a marine vessel. But anything that can be automated, anything that can be substituted by technology will be. And if you look at the case for that, again, there is a safety case already. If you look at collision avoidance, if you look at the many situations you have to handle on a marine vessel, you've got a safety case for it, you've got an energy efficiency case, you've got a productivity case going for it. So we're very excited about here in Singapore being at the spearhead of the movement towards autonomous. Finally, conscious of time, you might be wondering, why are you so confident in the dual benefit, so in the business case and as well as in the sustainability case for Industry 4.0? And one of the reasons that I can stand here in front of you with confidence is that we're in quote-unquote sipping our own champagne. So what you see here is actually a customer of ours who is actually ABB. So this is what we call a Mission Zero, where we basically combine the technologies that we provide to our customers and have now come for our first facility to be entirely CO2 neutral in terms of its energy provision. We use a number of ingredients from ABB, including ABB Ability Optimax, and we're very excited about the contribution to society, but at the same time, we wouldn't have gotten this past our CFO if there wasn't also a bottom line going for it. And I can clearly say, yes, this is a nice example of combining the two in a country that I know fairly well, and I can tell you doesn't have anywhere near the sunshine you have over here. So I think cases around here should actually be even more straightforward. Lastly, I want to leave you with this little piece of visual stimulus, and this one is obviously an artist's rendering, and you can see those robots, and basically in an additive manufacturing way building the bridge. So that's what you see here, and it's an artist's rendering. I think why I like this image, I think it inspires the thinking of what is that bridge into a safer, smarter, and more sustainable future that we need to build. And I can actually assure you, while this is an artist's rendering, there's a real team working on this. The environment will look slightly different. They're building the bridge in the middle of Amsterdam at the end of the day. But I think it stimulates the thinking to, yes, these things are possible already today with the technologies that we are providing. So it's about seizing the opportunity here and now, as opposed to waiting for the final chapter of Industry 4.0 being written. Personally, I think the development towards more autonomous, this climbing the ladder of the different levels of more autonomous industries will take time, will provide ample further opportunity for great business cases. So I want to leave you with that, and thank you for participation in the session.